Now, this video we're going to talk about how to actually use chords on the bass. This is going to be a very quick overview. You could spend a lifetime studying this, but this is going to be sort of just a quick introduction to the, if you know the arpeggios already, you can build chords off of that. Generally on the bass guitar, playing actual chords isn't going to come up too much. Generally, most of the time you're playing single note arpeggio lines, but sometimes you can kind of spice things up a little bit and have some chords in there, and some people do it more than others. It's generally kind of a showy sort of way to play. Generally the bass is going to be doing single note lines, but there's from time to time you can play chords. It's not really suited that well for chords. Low notes don't really mix too well, but you do have a fairly high range that certainly gets up into chord territory, and sometimes low chords are great too, but to season to taste, as they say. Now, the bass is somewhat limited with how many notes. You can only play 4 notes at a time. You got 4 strings. Luckily, these 7th chords generally only have 4 notes in them. But even so, I'm going to simplify a lot of these just for this personal taste. Usually if I'm playing more complicated chords like 7ths and 9ths, I'm going to start dropping out some notes maybe that I don't always think are important, because you only have 4 notes to do it. So if you're playing in a group, you can kind of divide up a chord and get some people to play part of it and some people play another part of it. And so I'm going to leave out the 5th a lot of times. Really the only time I put a 5th in too much is if it's like a flat 5 chord or diminished chord. That flat 5 really makes a difference, but the regular 5th, it's very heavily implied, you might say, by the root, that you can kind of leave it out and your audience will still imagine it being there. So that's what a lot of these chords are going to be. They're going to be the 7th chords without a 5th in most cases. Okay, so let's start out with, we got a root on the fat string. Let's do a 3rd. I'm going to leave out the 5th. So root 3rd, 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 7. So you can play all these notes at the same time. It doesn't sound real great though, does it? It's kind of, it's sort of woofy. These 2 notes are really, they don't blend well. They're too low and they kind of compete with each other too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 3rd up an octave. Still a little weird, but that's a lot better, I think. So I've kind of gotten some space between the root, the 7th, and now my 3rd is up top. It used to be here. I pulled it up an octave. So root, 7th, 3rd. So this is a shape. We're going to start with this shape. 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 7. 1, 7, 3. So I've just moved the 3rd up an octave. So let's start with this shape and let's make all the other shapes. So root, 7th, 3rd. We gotta remember that. The 5th would be there, but we're gonna leave it out. That makes it a lot easier to play. You could do that, but let's just leave it out. All right, so A major 7. That's flat the 3rd. I'm sorry, flat the 7th. And now we got a dominant chord. is how I end up playing a lot of bass chords. Is I'll kind of hit the root note, then hit the chord after it a little bit. Otherwise, I'm probably not going to strum. That gets way too boomy. But you can kind of go back and forth between chord tones. Try that. So root, major third, dominant 7, or flat 7, which is the dominant 7 chord. Alright, so root, flat 7, third. Now we flat the third. Minor 7 chord. So, Rage Against the Machine fans. That's using that, was that Bullet in Your Head, I think is the name of that one. Uses that kind of chord shape. Minor 7. Alright. The next chord we went to, we flatted the 5th. We're not playing the 5th, so this is also a minor 7 flat 5, ain't it? A lot of times, though, if it's a flatted 5th chord, I'll want to kind of make note of that one. So that one I might leave out the root and put in the flat 5 instead. So. Or maybe do both of them. Go back and forth. Alright. Now the last one we got, Diminished, we double flat the 7. That's how you can do them on the bass. Now that's how I would generally do them if I'm starting on the about to say the 6th string in guitar world, on the E string, the fat string. If you started on the 5th string, I did it again. Start on the A string. You can't bring the 3rd up an octave like you did before, so your shapes are generally going to be a little bit different. So let's go ahead and look at these shapes. I'm going to do these up high though, because they'll sound a little bit better. I'll do all these on F sharp here on that 4th. Usually it's the 4th dot right on 9th fret. F sharp major scale. Major 7, dominant 7. I use this chord a lot, especially up high. It works good up high. Kind of works okay down low. So we got major 7, F sharp major 7, F sharp dominant 7. Flat the 3rd. I got F sharp minor 7. I'm not playing the 5th, so that's the other chord again. And then, so that would also be minor 7 with a flatted 5th. Leave it out. And then we double flat the 7, and there's your diminished shape. Like I said, on the bass, you kind of want to use the chords, especially these things, sparingly. They kind of jump out a lot. It's definitely be considered being kind of showy. But you know, they can be used tastefully as well, in a kind of understated way. I do these type of things a lot, where I'll just play like a root and then maybe a really high third and leave out, usually those can give a real nice sound. But in general, most of the stuff we're doing on bass is going to be single note arpeggios, connecting lines, walking lines, things like that. But it's nice to know that the chords are available. Every once in a while, you may want to, punch up something with a little more harmony to it. Anyway, next time we'll get back, we'll do this all on a guitar.